We're back with another episode here on episode 60 of the Block to Block podcast, the best podcast in the world for all things Web3. Here we break down the technology, what's going on in the market, and ways in which you can benefit. I am NFT and Jai, and I'm here with another edition with the best podcast in all of Web3. But before we get into all that, we must hit you with a disclaimer that this podcast is for informational purposes only. In no event will we be liable if you lose your cheese, cheddar, mozzarella, or provolone. If you lose your capital, that is on you, because this podcast is for informational purposes only, and we strongly suggest that you consult with a financial advisor or any other professional when it comes to making choices with your money. And with that, let's start the show. Man, episode 60, the 60666. Happy to be here with y'all. I know this is like a late night one. It's like 11 p.m. So you guys are thinking, oh, they're going to miss a Thursday. No, we will not miss a Thursday. But we did have a great opportunity today to really have a great showcase out here in Philadelphia with the BBEX organization and the corporate creative in order to have the art, wine, and politics mixer, in which we really spoke about really how can local Philadelphians get involved and really utilize their voice when it comes to this upcoming election. So we had this curation of about 8 artists, all from Philadelphia, who were just amazing. Different mediums, different styles. The portraits, the pieces that they made were very powerful, and they all had pieces that like really symbolizes the importance of using your political voice, right? So whether it was from like the abstract art to like real images of historical figures, like the artwork in itself was just amazing. So shout out to all of the artists who were a part of the showcase. Shout out to Barbara, who's from the corporate creative, who really works on ensuring that creatives or artists who are within like that corporate setting can still have an outlet in order to express their artistry. And so, she did a great job when it came to like the installation and helping with the curation and everything. And then, Suleiman and the gang from BBEX, like they just had such a beautiful space, and they brought out the people for us to just really enjoy and network with one another. So resounding success, just like the one we did back in July. So that was a great time. So we was there all night. I was there with our intern, Rennie. Like, I don't even think we even mentioned her before the podcast, but we do have an intern who's a computer science major from Villanova, and like she's phenomenal. So shout out to Rennie for holding it down, covering some footage of the entire event. And so, yeah, it was a good one. It was great. It's always great to once again build relationships and really be impactful in your local area, right? So whatever the city that you're in, highly suggest that you find out what's going on in terms of the ecosystem. Who are the movers and shakers? Who are the people that are trying to make an impact, and see how you can be a value add? Because that will be a great way for you to continue to grow out your brand and your impact to the greater community. And with that, speaking of impact, we need you all to join us on December the 9th in Miami for the Timbuktu Art Basel experience. We're going to have an immersive experience where we're bringing down 10 artists from across the country, all artists that we worked with, and we're working with local Miami businesses to provide an interactive, gamified experience where you all can be able to support not only the art, but the local city of Miami. So what does this look like? We're starting off with a brunch experience, where you'll be able to just like enjoy like amazing food and connect with one another. And afterwards, we're doing what we're calling an art crawl. So you may know the concept of a bar crawl when you hop from bar to bar in big groups. Well, what we're doing is an art crawl where we'll be in big groups going from like the local businesses that we're partnered with. And at each of these businesses, one of our artists are going to be stationed at there, where you'll have the opportunity to like connect with them, learn more about their artistry while supporting that local Miami business. So it's going to be like a vibe from there. And then finally, after the art crawl, we're going to have a exquisite mixer. So we definitely want you all to be joining us on December the 9th in Miami and come out to the Timbuktu Art Basel experience. It's going to be a movie, and you're playing yourselves if you do not come out. So yes, more information will be, released to you all, but please stay tuned because it is going to be a movie. And like we said, all this year we've been outside, and it's only right that we ended big in Art Basel, the New York Fashion Week of the art world in Miami, down in Florida. So definitely rock with your boys and stay tuned, y'all. But enough of all that. You guys want that Web3 news. You guys want to know what's exactly is going on in the market and what are some of the big trends. And you want evidence too of how this technology is really going to elevate the game. And as we've been saying every week for the past 60 weeks now, big organizations and big institutions are going to find a way to utilize blockchain technology in order to solve real issues. And that has been shown and proven in this story with HSBC, which is one of the largest banks that's based in London. And HSBC is now offering tokenized gold. So this was announced yesterday on Wednesday that the bank has announced the first trades of gold tokens where for their physical gold that's stored in their vault in London. And what they're using is the distributed ledger technology or blockchain technology to allow for their institutional clients to create a digital twin of the physical gold that they own. And so with this, these gold tokens can be traded on the HSBC Evolve platform, which is the digital platform for foreign exchange and precious metals. And the customers will be able to really track all the trades of their gold, like within the marketplace. And so it's very innovative in which we're seeing, as we predicted since really like one of the first episodes of the Block to Block podcast, of how this blockchain technology is going to be used to support and really authenticate and help track these physical assets. Like, and gold is one of the most important assets in the world, or one of the most important commodities in the world, right? And so is major news for HSBC, that they're utilizing blockchain technology and they're doing this in order to improve upon the trade of gold. However, they're not alone. This has been an ongoing trend, right? Back in January, Russia's biggest bank, Sber, excuse me for the mispronunciation, they launched their own digital gold offering, which is like similar to this. And then Japan's Mitsui and Co. Commodities has even their own retail offering when it comes to the London Metal Exchange for gold, right? And then what we've also found is the World Gold Council and the London Bullion Market Association are deploying their own enterprise blockchain solution to trace the supply chain source of gold bullion back to the mines of where they originate from. And this is like an effort to ensure that the gold that they're procuring was mined in a sustainable manner, right? Where like conflict wasn't a thing and everything else of that nature. And so what we're seeing is for like the asset class or the commodities of gold, blockchain technology is being deployed by many huge institutions in order to certify this good. And so I think this story is very important to bring back up because, always a shameless plug, but that's essentially what we're doing with like the Timbuktu platform. We're using this combination of AI and blockchain technology or smart contracts to authenticate and certify that these collectibles, these high-end collectibles such as fine art, is in fact authentic, and we can include additional benefits such as ensuring that the creators of these collectibles can receive royalty payments on every transaction or resale transaction, and that the collectors are able to join these private communities where they can have immersive experiences that are tied to their collections. And, For us, this is important because when you look at the collectibles market, 40% of the values just from the resales alone, right? And when it comes to all things collectibles, whether it be art, whether it be watches, whether it be handbags, one thing that is very resoundingly true is that collectors of these items do appreciate and value community and the ability to have experiences that are tied to their collections. And so for us, we see this blockchain technology as a perfect utilization to ensure that those things occur. Now, we mentioned in previous episodes, like how these exchanges are seeing ways in which this blockchain technology can make payments and transactions happen more instantaneously, how they're able to get a good catalog, if you will, of their data, of their assets. And so what better use case than gold, right? So it's just like very important that we bring up this story and just show like real life use cases of how blockchain can be of support to anything else. So once again, please do not play yourselves in terms of thinking that this technology is a fad. It is not a fad because the biggest institutions in the world, such as HSBC, would not be investing millions of dollars worth of capital or like manpower or whatever resources in deploying these solutions and finding a way to integrate it into their own business model. So there's that. Another big thing that we want to briefly cover in the world of Web3 is Sam-Bankman Fried, aka known as SBF, the former CEO and founder of the crypto exchange FTX and of the trading firm Alameda Research, has been found guilty on all 7 counts related to fraud and money laundering. And so, as we all know, last year, FTX, which was the second biggest crypto exchange in the world at the time, like they had a collapse, an implosion, right? In which it was found that billions of dollars worth of crypto assets was gone missing, right? Like there was this huge indication of like fraud and misappropriation of funds, of like investor funds, and like people were really losing out on their money. And so this led to like a series of investigations from like the federal government and to what led to the later on arrest of SBF for like the whole year. And for the past 5 weeks, his trial has been ongoing in terms of seeing was he guilty of fraud, of like money laundering, of like all these financial misalignments, if you will, right? And so he has been found guilty, and it is definitely a huge impact within the world of crypto for many reasons, which we'll get into in a second. But in terms of what's next, he's been found guilty on all 7 counts. And so the real next step is his sentencing should be occurring within March of next year, March of 2024, where he's facing up to a maximum of 115 years in prison. So a very, very bleak situation for him. What and the reason why this story is important, and it's it's always important for us, like, yes, making money or whatever is cool to do within these spaces of when you're working with these new innovative technologies, but you always have to remember that as someone who is building, whether it's in your business or it's a service you provide or what have you, you have a first and utmost responsibility to your customer base, right? Never, ever, ever should you put yourself in a position where you are doing wrong by your customers, right? Whether that's providing bad service, bad product, or worst of all, stealing from them, right? And so this is just a really cautionary tale of how you can't ever let greed get to you. You can't ever let any type of poor lack of integrity like overtake you. You have to have integrity in all that you do, because while you may think, hey, it's just money, it is what it is, you're really drastically impacting the lives of people who are supporting your project. So it's very important that first and foremost that we all act with integrity. And so this is a cautionary tale for those who are building, to make sure like integrity is at the first and foremost part of your mind. But also like the actions of SBS is going to have longer lasting impacts into our space altogether, right? Because typically speaking, when it comes to new industries, right, like the private sector, like people who are moving into like a new cutting edge industry, they outpace the public sector, right? So like we've seen in like so many, especially when it comes to technology, but we've seen it in so many industries, like people come into a new industry and they're quickly building and they're quickly making money, and it's all good at first, but then you have a slew of the bad actors who come into play. And once the bad actors come into play, you see like just poor behavior, whether it's like fraud or like huge negative impact of whatever kind, and you see an implosion or a huge downturn within the space, that's when the public sector or the government catches up, and then the regulations comes down in order to ensure that these bad actors cannot flourish like they have beforehand. And so as it relates to this case with SBF, like this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, it's going to be a case in which he's probably going to be made an example of. And I won't be surprised if there's like a slew of regulations and laws that are put into place after the fact to ensure that another situation of this kind can never happen again. And heck, it doesn't. And the fact, like, we also see like these huge institutions like coming in and starting to put their own spin to all things Web3 as well. Like that's probably going to help steer to that direction of like a more regulated Web3 within the US. So just some thoughts there, we still have to like wait and see what occurs, but overall, something that's important to speak about in the podcast. But nonetheless, that's what we have for today's episode. I know you guys want Web3 Wayne back. You guys love him so much, and you miss having him on the podcast and hearing his commentary. I'm working on getting him back. He's always too busy being a father and saying I don't get sleep, this, that, and all the other complaints. So we're working on getting him back on the podcast, but hopefully very soon. Wink. But with that, I'm your boy NFT and Jai. We appreciate you guys once again. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and you share it with all your loved ones. And stay tuned with us. Spread the love. And meet us down in Miami. Peace.